And we are back, and it's time, Fazman. I am so excited about our next guest, aren't you?
Well, going by what you're wearing, Esther, you're in the Richmond Guernsey. You've got the tiger hat on. Well, it's more of a hat. It's more like what is it, a bear head, really?
It's a tiger head.
But it's a tiger head, yeah. So, we're lucky enough to have one of the main cheer squad members from the Richmond Football Club. People that love the Tigers, or if you just love AFL footy, would probably notice there's a fellow the last couple of years. He normally wears the yellow wig.
The big puffy yellow wig.
In the cheer squad for Richmond. And he's always holding the banners and getting them going. And lucky enough, we've had the opportunity to talk to him today. So welcome to Trout over there in Melbourne. How are you, Trout?
Hello, everyone. How's it going? Go the Tigers.
Yeah, go the Tigers.
Well, it's nice 27 degrees over here, Trout. I'm not sure it'd be 27 over there in Melbourne, but you've been pretty busy because you're normally involved in the banner making, and there's a bit of a milestone game coming up. So what have you coming up with this week?
Yeah, we've got 2 milestones this week. We've got Lostoon and Shy Bolton. And we've also got our Dreamtime banner for the back of it, and so some Indigenous artwork we've had to do, and a message out to the members and that. So, it's one of the favourite times of the year to do the Dreamtime banner because we're always pretty challenged with the artwork by the Indigenous artists too. We've got to try and get it as close as we can to look like it, otherwise it can come across a little bit silly with the way we put it up there. But we are one of the last traditional weavers with crepe paper and do our own artwork from scratch with sticking 2 A5 piece of paper together and just creating artwork, which has got the banners 7.5 metres tall by 19 metres wide. So it's pretty big artwork. The artwork's bigger than a car.
Yeah.
That is huge effort. Now, what kind of resourcing are we talking here? How many people and how long does it take to pull a banner together?
Well, it depends on where you are on the ladder. So, and I have to be perfectly honest. So I've been doing it for probably a solid 25 years now.
Wow.
I started off in the doing the weaving. Just volunteered just to go down and help the cheer squad. Started off in the weaving, but now in the last probably 15 years or so, or 10 years, I've been pushed into the art department, which got to create the artwork sometimes on the same night as they're weaving the banner and get it drawn up, painted, cut out, and then dried up and then stuck on the banner. So there's a small community of people that are passionate about their club and are not there for gifts or handouts or anything like that. It's purely just love of the club and love of the community of the area. And we sort of get labelled as a cheer squad by, a lot of people, some nuffies or silly people or whatever. But I can guarantee you, a lot of them are mates for life.
That's awesome, isn't it? It's amazing what we all love the game. We love footy, but there's all this other stuff that you get that brings joy, doesn't it? In the AFL, fantastic.
Yeah.
So Trout, have you always been a Tigers supporter? Do you come from a Tigers family?
Now that's a great question. I don't know if you guys have been doing your research on that, but obviously that's a great question. Well, my family, my dad and my Uncle Paul came from a Collingwood family, and they're all mad Collingwood. And for some reason, Dad and Uncle Paul come home when they were kids, I'm assuming around about 8, 9, 10, 11, and came home and wanted to be Richmond supporters. So Dad's had 9, there's 9 of the 9 kids of us that are all Richmond other than one sister's Kangaroos. And my 3 kids are all Richmond, full-time members from their birth, and my 3 grandchildren are Richmond members.
I bet you got them on the list nice and early.
I got them on the list nice and early, and I was very clear to the daughter-in-law family that they will be Richmond.
Now, Trout, I keep a little bit of an eye on some of the chat groups, and you're a little bit active sometimes at this time of the season when Richmond are coming up against Essendon. You're not a big fan of Essendon, are you?
No, I'm not. And you know what? And there's a lot of people out there that will have a go at me or have a crack and all that. But it's footy banner. I don't understand why other people can dislike a club or hate a club, because I hate a club and I hate Essendon with a passion. It's just they go off their head. I don't get it. It's just like you deliberately. I'm not deliberately doing to get under their skin. I just don't like the club. So if I have a chance to have a crack or a pot shot, I'll take it.
I have noticed that quite often. But talking of Essendon versus Richmond, that's coming up for the dream time at the G. I was lucky enough, and I think SD, you might have been to the dream time over here in Perth a couple of years ago, and what a game to be a part of that was. Back at MCG, huge occasion, normally about a sellout, I would think, and it's a great game to be a part of. Trout, you must love it being behind the goals and revving up the crowd.
Yeah, look, I do. It's going to be 14 degrees, and I think there's rain all day. Oh. So the numbers will drop. The numbers will be down. I can't see it being into the 90s or probably even into the 80s, but it'll probably be 60s, 70s, and that's fine. That's footy. That's some people like cheer squad people, and other people will sit in the rain. It doesn't bother us. I love it. I think it's a great idea. I understand why we're the marquee game because of the two colours of the both teams that make up the Indigenous flag. It's more so that what over the journey of the Dreamtime Games, it's what we're learning along the way, what we didn't learn in school. Because I'm 59 next month, so we're learning about Aboriginal culture. We're learning about how to move forward and all that sort of stuff. So it's teaching us stuff without us really probably even knowing that. And I think that's great for the footy community.
Yeah. Well, talking about the footy and how the Tigers have been going this season, there's been a little bit of argy-bargy between Kane Corns and how he's been describing Tim Taranto's move to Richmond and how he's been performing, saying that he was not in the top 150 players in the AFL, and he's fired back at him. What's your thoughts on Kane Corns there?
Well, I gave Kane a few little tweets out there, and I gave him a call and had a discussion with him, and I said to him, and I rolled out, I'll just give you a few. Taranto's 4th in disposals, 10th in handballs, 10th in clearances, and 4th in tackles. And I said to him, what? And I rolled out, it's probably another 6 stats I rolled out, and I said, and you can't put him in your top 50. And he goes, it's his kicking efficiency and all that sort of stuff. And I said, okay, so, and he goes, he's not elite. So there's 150 elite players before Taranto. That's what he's saying. So I think what Kane Corns is stuck on is that he wrote an article a number of years ago saying that Taranto and Hopper should go to Port Adelaide and someone else. And because they haven't gone there now, he's obviously, he's got a
bit dirty on it.
Yeah, he's dirty on it. We gave up picks 12 and 18 for Taranto. We gave Hopper 31 and this draft's first round pick. But I can tell you, without Taranto and Hoppo for the first stage of the season where we are now, we would not be we would not be doing as good as we've been doing. We would have been in a bit of trouble.
Now, you've seen the last 5 years a lot of success with the Tigers, with the 3 flags. They're obviously had a tough start this season. Obviously, there's been some major injuries to Nankervis and Lynch for starters, and the Tools have been a little bit light on. But Samson Ryan's a player that's come on this year. What's your thoughts on his game so far?
Yeah, he's one of those ones you sit there and you're going, what's he doing? And you go, that was really good. So there's a lot. We've got a lot of kids. So we've had those injuries. I'm glad you brought that up. We've had those injuries. And we've got players like in between 22 and 19, like Ross, who's played 4 games this year. Rioli Jr.'s played 5. Ralph Smith 5. Gibbs hasn't played any. Ryan's played 7. Mansell's played 7. Cumberland 6. Young 6. Miller 5. And Clark 6. Now, if you're telling me that's not changing the guard, I'll go he, because that's where we're in transition at the moment.
Yeah.
And we've got 11 players 29 years and over, and I've just read those names out there, and we're playing those kids, and most of those kids were playing in the Geelong game, and so I think he's given them a crack, and I think we've got a great future. That actually this year, that those names I read out have actually built into a names that people know now.
Mm.
And Esther, you would have loved watching the Tigers have a win against Geelong.
Oh, so good. Especially my dad's a Geelong supporter. Well, actually, he says he's not when they're not doing so well. He doesn't follow the game. Then he's a rugby supporter. But really pleased with the win.
Yeah, I mean they came out in the first quarter nice and strong, and they seemed to be more accurate in front of goal, which was great. But I think it was more their intent, their tackling, and their run. They played on, and they linked up. From half back, Rioli played a great game, and all the midfielders gelled well together. And Cochin, people were saying that he couldn't be a defensive forward. He popped up with 3 goals, he stuck it up a few of them. So it was a great game. With Trout, were you behind the goals that night?
Yeah, I was there. I sometimes I say to myself, I mightn't go today, but you just can't help yourself. You've got to go. The Geelong game was the game that was the crazy ball extra.
Mm.
There's a lot of passages there, and you're going, where's it going? They're kicking it, and they're bombing it forward, and they're getting it. It really threw Geelong off. That's the reports down here. They're saying Geelong didn't like the crazy ball, whatever, but it was extra crazy ball in that game, because that's what we knew upset them. And I think Saturday night, I think it'll probably be, I've always said if we were 2 goals down at half time or 2 goals up, the second half, years ago, we'd overrun them. And I think that's starting to come back now. We're starting to get ready to play 4 quarters, whether we get over the line or we don't in certain games. But I think now with the belief of the kids that have come through, that they know what the next level they've got to take. Took them a few games to get there, but now they're there.
Mm. Trout, one fellow who has left Richmond, unfortunately, and gone to Hawthorn was Peter Burge, who was in charge of their sports performance and their training and fitness and everything. There's a lot of injuries at Richmond this year. Can you see anything as to the reason why? Is it because maybe he's not in charge of the program?
Yeah, but then not a lot of soft tissue injuries. It's more game incident injuries and that, I feel. So if you've got a lot of soft tissue injuries like the Bombers and other teams and that, then I'd be a bit worried. You know what? If he was still there and we had these injuries, we'd just say, we're getting on a bit in age a bit. So I just think you really can't. If you get a lot of injuries during the game and you can see them, he's done a calf and he's done this or whatever, then you know that's what they're having a crack and all that sort of stuff. So they might be done at training and all that sort of stuff. I don't really read much into the injuries, because that junior list that I read out has got the opportunity because of those injuries. Yes, the injuries hurt us at the start when we had Broad and Shorty out at the same time, and then Curvis is still up in there in the top 10 of the rucks in the AFL, and he's missed a number of games. Yeah, we've had those injuries and that, but I reckon one door closes, another one opens up. So that's what I love about an injury.
Are you confident that they can make the finals at the end of the year?
Well, my ladder predictor says it can.
So my favourite game that I've ever seen of Richmond was at the MCG in 1995. I was there. It was my first trip to the MCG. I saw Essendon take on Richmond in the finals, and Richmond came out with the win that day. I probably know where this is going, but what's been your favourite game that you've ever been to see?
Well, just seeing Richo play, Tony Free, Craig Lambert. Look, people don't realise, they say, we were bad over all those years. And I say to people, we had like Chris Nash, Lambert, Barry Young, and there was a couple others, and they were Tony Free.
Michael Pickering. I used to like watch Michael Pickering play.
Yeah, but the guys in the midfield were all small, and they used to keep us in games. We wouldn't win them, but we had such a small list and all that sort of stuff. Tony Free was one of my favourite players. Richo's one of my all-time favourites. I probably don't really have a favourite player at the moment. I just love watching them. I love, I want Dusty to step up and go that next level again and finish off strong. But with me, I reckon the 2017 grand final was very special for me because raising three kids to be Richmond, and for years and decades they'd say, why do we go for Richmond? Why, and half the kids in Woodend would barrack for Essendon, and they'd give me kids to come home. Oh, I want to change. I said, no, you've got to stick fat. Well, they got up to their 30s, and then they seen it, and then we were cuddling and crying after the game. And I don't think I'll ever get that feeling ever back again, because knowing that your kids have finally seen something after, 28 years and stuff like that was a feeling that was incredible.
Yeah, it was a pretty incredible result after a bit of a drought there. And I have to say, number 12, Richo, is my favourite player of all time from the Tigers. I had a pleasure to meet him when I was 17. I'll never forget that moment. Big fan.
Yeah, well, he's a Devonport boy, and Trout, we're both from Tassie, but I met you a couple of times over here in Perth when you flew over a few times, and when we were playing back in Subi, and used to rock up, and you travel around. Is there every game that you normally get to interstate, or you just pick which ones you can?
Yeah, I haven't travelled since about 2017. Since we've got grandkids and that, I sort of don't want to travel that much anymore. But no, I used to go to quite a few interstate regularly and all that sort of stuff. It helps with working with an airline. But no, I definitely want to do every game for the year. I've never done that. I've never been to every game for a season. I've missed out on some here and there and that. But I haven't travelled for a while, and COVID put all that off. And so, but at some stage I might go to a couple of trips, yeah.
Well, if you're ever in this neck of the woods, we'd love to have you to the studio with all your regalia on. Yeah,
or we could sit next to him at the cheer squad, or the main area behind the goals, and listen to some of these chants they come up with. Well, I mean, is there one specific that is the main chant that you have at the MCG, Trout?
Oh, there's different ones. They start them all up, but who are we? We are the boys from the MCG. RICHMOND. Richmond, so yeah. It's just, there's a number of ones like that. There's a lot of people that sit in the cheer squad that footy's a massive part of their life. And, they might have a disability or have problems and all that, but they come and sit in there, and you've got to look after them.
You do.
And that's what we do. That's what we do at Richmond. We make sure, we try not to leave anyone behind, and especially when the tickets for the seats and all that sort of stuff. And you know who comes regularly in, week out.
Yep. Yeah, well, I'm certainly fired up for the Richmond-Essendon game, SD.
I'm dressed. I'm ready to go.
Well, especially now talking to Trout.
Pumped.
Trout, thank you very much for your time joining us. We'll certainly look out for you when it's on TV. You'll be there holding up a banner, I'm sure, and cheering them on. And
we do miss the big yellow wig, but we know that's gone off to a better place now.
Yeah, where's the wig now, Trout?
Yeah, Brett Bartlett, after the 2017 grand final, messaged me and said, what are you going to do with the wig and that? And I said, I've got no plans for that. And he said, you probably should look at giving it to the museum. And I thought, I rang up the museum. I said, do you want it? And they go, yeah. So I gave them the Tribe Has Spoken, all my clothes and my jumpers and my pants, Jack Dyer pants I had painted. They've got it all. So
wow.
Wow.
Yeah, which I'm honoured.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you're a well-known name within the Tiger supporters and the members, over 100,000 members, but they generally all know you, Trout. And Richmond have got a big development happening in the next few years with Punt Road Oval being redeveloped. What's your thoughts on that? It was a bit sad to know that the old Jack Dyer stand was going down, but it's you got to move with the times, don't you?
Have you guys sat in the Jack Dyer stand?
I have actually, yes, but it's pretty damn old now.
Yeah, look, well, the wooden steps are half worn to be rounded. There's no corners on them. There's no non-slip. And we have a lot of elderly people. Yeah. You know what? It's sad. It is what it is. The cost in moving it would be too much to Kevin Bartlett Oval, but it is what it is. Let's move on. I think the whole joint's going to be moved 25 metres to the right or something, so let's just do it. Yep. All right, Trout. Well, thanks very much for your time. I've no doubt you'll be getting ready for the big game coming up this weekend. So we'll look out for you, and hopefully the Tigers get up and have a win, SD. Oh, absolutely. And thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you today. I'm a super fan, very excited. Always get behind a Tigers supporter, and I think that you do great stuff for the club. Yeah, and look, thanks to you guys over in WA, because I know we've been over there many times and you've had a function before the WA supporter group, and we've got them in Queensland and South Australia and all that sort of stuff. And you guys make us bigger. We can't get to 100,000 just in Victoria. It's about everyone around Australia and around the world that pay their membership. That's it. All right, Trout, thanks for your time. We'll go to a break now, and we'll come back. And SD, you want to know what happened in the AFL last week, so we might talk about that, and also the round 10 coming up. So how about we go to a break and we'll get stuck into the AFL for this week. Beautiful stuff, I agree. So you're here with us talking sport with SD and the Fazman. We'll be back after this.